The cell block that never sleeps. Most prisoners fear other inmates. At Blackstone Penitentiary, the inmates feared something else. Something that walked the cell blocks long after the guards went home. Marcus Kane had already spent 6 years in prison before they transferred him to Blackstone. The bus ride there took almost 8 hours. Thick forests surrounded the prison, miles away from the nearest town. When the bus finally turned the last corner, Marcus saw the place for the first time. Tall concrete walls. Watchtowers with armed guards. Rusted razor wire stretching endlessly across the top. The prison looked less like a building and more like a fortress built to keep something inside. One of the older inmates sitting next to Marcus muttered quietly, "Blackstone, God help us." Marcus frowned. "You've been here before." The man shook his head slowly. "No one comes here twice." The prison gate slammed shut behind them with a heavy metallic echo. Inside, the air smelled like rust, sweat, and mold. Paint peeled off the walls. Lights flickered above long hallways. Somewhere in the distance, metal bars slammed shut over and over. The guards marched the new prisoners down a corridor lined with steel doors. Marcus could hear shouting, coughing, and the occasional scream echoing through the building. Finally, they reached processing. A massive man stepped forward. Warden Victor Granger. He looked like he had been carved from stone. His face was cold, emotionless. "Welcome to Blackstone," he said slowly. "No one leaves this place unless I say so." His eyes scanned the new inmates like they were animals. "Follow the rules. Keep your head down, and maybe, just maybe, you'll survive." Marcus was assigned to cell block C. The worst block in the prison. Murderers. Gang leaders. Lifers who had nothing left to lose. The cell itself was barely big enough to stand in. A rusted metal bed. A thin mattress. A toilet bolted to the wall. Across from him sat his cellmate, Derek Holloway. A tall, thin man with hollow eyes and deep scars across his knuckles. "You're new," Derek said quietly. Marcus nodded. "Yeah." Derek leaned forward slightly. "You hear the screaming yet?" Marcus frowned. "Screaming?" Derek didn't answer. He just smiled nervously. "You will." The first night at Blackstone was the worst. The prison never truly slept. Inmates shouted from their cells. Metal clanged constantly. Fights broke out down the corridors. But around 2:17 in the morning, everything changed. The noise stopped. Completely. Even the guards went quiet. Then Marcus heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy footsteps walking down cell block C. But something was wrong. The guards wore boots that clicked loudly on the concrete. These footsteps were dragging. Like something broken was walking. Step. Drag. Step. Drag. The sound stopped outside Marcus's cell. He held his breath. Then he heard a whisper. Right outside the bars. "Let me in." Marcus jumped out of his bed. The hallway was empty. No guards. No inmates. Nothing. Across the block, Derek whispered from his bunk. "You saw him, didn't you?" Marcus shook his head slowly. "No, but I heard something." Derek stared at the ceiling. "That's him." Marcus swallowed. "Who?" Derek's voice dropped to a whisper. "Prisoner 313. 30 years ago, an inmate named Samuel Pike had been locked inside cell block C. Samuel Pike had been dangerous, unstable, violent. The guards tortured him regularly. Solitary confinement, beatings, no food for days. The man eventually snapped. One night, he attacked a guard with a broken piece of metal. He killed 3 guards before they finally stopped him. But they didn't execute him. They punished him. The guards chained Samuel Pike inside a hidden cell deep below the prison. And they left him there. No light, no food, no water. Samuel Pike screamed for days. Until one night, the screaming stopped. But ever since then, something had been walking the prison halls. Marcus tried to ignore the stories, but things inside Blackstone kept getting worse. Fights broke out daily. One night 2 gang members stabbed each other during dinner. Another inmate was found dead in the showers with his throat torn open. The guards blamed the inmates, but the inmates blamed something else. Every night at 2:17 a.m., the footsteps returned. Step, drag, step, drag. And every few nights, someone died. One night, Marcus woke to screaming in the hallway. He rushed to the bars of his cell. An inmate down the corridor was being dragged across the floor, but no one was touching him. Invisible hands pulled him screaming into the darkness. The lights flickered violently. Then the screaming stopped. The next morning, the guards found the man's body. His bones crushed, his face frozen in terror. Marcus finally confronted Derek. "You said the ghost was Samuel Pike. Why does he kill inmates?" Derek shook his head slowly. "He doesn't." Marcus stared. "What do you mean?" Derek leaned closer. "He's not hunting inmates." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Then who?" Derek whispered. "The guards." Marcus began watching the guards closely, especially Warden Granger. The warden ruled the prison with fear. Beatings were common. Inmates disappeared often. No investigations. No questions. Then Marcus discovered something shocking. The warden had been a young guard at Blackstone 30 years ago. The night Samuel Pike died. One night Marcus followed a guard down a restricted hallway. Hidden behind an old steel door was a staircase leading underground. The basement smelled like death. Old chains hung from the walls. Bloodstains still marked the concrete. At the end of the room, Marcus found a skeleton chained to the floor. Samuel Pike. Suddenly the temperature dropped. A shadow appeared in the corner of the room. Tall, broken, eyes glowing with rage. The ghost stepped forward slowly. Marcus froze. The voice echoed through the room. "They left me." Then the ghost turned toward the staircase, toward the prison above, toward the guards. Marcus finally understood. Samuel Pike wasn't hunting inmates. He was hunting the men who tortured him. The next night, Warden Granger walked through cell block C like he always did. Confident, untouchable. But when the clock struck 2:17 a.m., the lights went out. The dragging footsteps echoed through the hallway. Step, drag, step, drag. The warden turned slowly. The shadow appeared behind him. Inmates watched silently from their cells. No one spoke. No one moved. The warden screamed once. Then the shadow dragged him into the darkness. The screaming echoed through the prison for almost a minute. Then, silence. The next morning the guards found Warden Granger's body. Broken. Bones crushed. Just like the others. They shut down cell block C that day. But the inmates knew the truth. Samuel Pike was still inside Blackstone. Still walking the halls. Still waiting for the next man who deserved punishment. And every night at 2:17 a.m., the prisoners still hear the same sound. Step, drag, step, drag. Coming down the corridor. Getting closer. Every night. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more dark and terrifying tales, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories waiting in the shadows. But remember, some places should never be explored. And some stories should never be told. Good night, and sleep well.